Most people are born into a system they never chose, and they die without ever questioning the rules of the game. If you are listening to this, it is because you feel the weight of that system. You feel the invisible ceiling pressing down on your potential. You see the gap between where you are and where you want to be, and you are starting to realize that hard work alone is not the bridge that crosses it. Why do some people stay stuck in a cycle of lack, while others seem to glide effortlessly into abundance? Is it luck? Is it inheritance? Is it a rigged system? The hard truth that most people refuse to accept is that poverty is not just a lack of money in your bank account. Poverty is a state of being. It is a set of programmed behaviors, a collection of self-sabotaging beliefs, and a chronic addiction to the short term. Most people stay poor because they are operating on outdated, faulty software. They are playing a game they do not understand, using rules that were designed to keep them exactly where they are. They believe that wealth is something that happens to you, rather than something you build through internal discipline and strategic action. This audiobook is not a collection of feel-good platitudes. It is a diagnostic tool for your life. It is a direct assault on the excuses you have used to stay comfortable in your stagnation. We are going to strip away the myths that keep the 99% trapped. We are going to look at the differences between those who struggle and those who thrive. The reality is that the 99% spend their lives reacting to the world, while the 1% spend their lives architecting it. You have been conditioned to seek security, to avoid risk, and to value the opinions of people who are just as stuck as you are. This conditioning is the cycle. Breaking the cycle requires more than just a better job or a small raise. It requires a fundamental rewiring of how you view time, money, energy, and yourself. You are the hero of this story, but right now, you might be the villain in your own way. You are standing at a crossroads. You can continue to believe that your circumstances are the result of external forces beyond your control, or you can accept the terrifying responsibility that you are the primary architect of your reality. If you want to join the ranks of the exceptional, you must stop doing what most people do. You must stop thinking how most people think. Most people will listen to this and feel a temporary surge of motivation, only to return to their old habits by tomorrow morning. They will consume this information and do nothing with it. But you are not most people. You are here because you are finished with mediocrity. You are ready to face the uncomfortable truths about your own behavior. You are ready to trade your excuses for results. Over the next 10 chapters, we will break down the specific pillars of the poverty cycle and provide the blueprint to shatter them. This is the end of your old life and the beginning of the journey toward true freedom. The stakes could not be higher. Your future self is counting on you to listen, to internalize, and most importantly, to act. Let us begin. Chapter 1: The Poverty Mindset versus the Wealth Mindset. The first and most significant barrier to escaping poverty is not a lack of capital, but a mindset that is fundamentally wired for scarcity. Most people view the world through a lens of limited resources. They see a fixed pie where someone else's gain must be their loss. This is the poverty mindset. It is a mental framework that prioritizes survival over growth, comfort over progress, and safety over opportunity. When you operate from a poverty mindset, your brain is constantly scanning for threats and reasons why things will not work. You focus on what you lack rather than what you can create. This mindset is often inherited. It is passed down through generations of families who have survived on the margins, teaching their children that the world is a dangerous place and that the best you can hope for is a steady paycheck and a bit of security. But security is an illusion that the poor chase while the wealthy build foundations. To break the cycle, you must understand that your mind is the operating system for your life. If the software is buggy, the hardware will never perform. Most people spend their entire lives trying to change their external circumstances without ever looking at the internal programs running their decisions. They think that if they just had more money, their problems would vanish. But money given to a person with a poverty mindset is like water poured into a sieve. It disappears because the underlying structure cannot hold it. The wealth mindset, by contrast, is rooted in abundance and long-term thinking. It understands that value is created, not found. It views challenges as puzzles to be solved rather than obstacles that signal defeat. While most people are looking for a handout or a shortcut, the person with a wealth mindset is looking for a way to provide value that the market is willing to pay for. They understand that their income is a direct reflection of the problems they solve for others. If you want to change your income, you must change the magnitude of the problems you are capable of solving. This requires a shift from being a consumer to being a producer. Most people spend their days consuming. They consume media, they consume food, they consume the energy of others, and they consume their own potential through distraction. The wealthy produce. They produce ideas, they produce systems, they produce solutions, and they produce results. This shift in perspective changes everything. When you stop asking what the world can give you and start asking what you can build for the world, the cycle begins to crack. You must realize that your current situation is the sum total of your past decisions, and your future situation will be the sum total of the decisions you make starting right now. Most people hate this idea because it removes their ability to blame others. They would rather be a victim of the economy, a victim of their boss, or a victim of their upbringing than admit that they have the power to change their trajectory. Taking radical ownership of your mindset is the first step. You must audit your thoughts with the same intensity that a business audits its finances. Every time you think that something is impossible, or that you are not capable, or that the system is rigged against you, you are reinforcing the poverty mindset. These thoughts are the bricks in the wall of your own prison. You must learn to identify these thoughts as they arise and replace them with a mindset of agency. Instead of saying, "I cannot afford it," ask, "How can I afford it?" Instead of saying, "I do not have the time," ask, "How can I make the time?" The poverty mindset is passive. The wealth mindset is active. Most people wait for permission to succeed. They wait for a promotion, they wait for a sign, they wait for the perfect moment. But the perfect moment is a myth. The wealthy understand that permission is never given, it is taken. They do not wait for the door to open, they build the door. This difference in initiative is what separates the 99% from the 1%. The cycle of poverty is sustained by the belief that you are a passenger in your own life. To break it, you must grab the steering wheel. You must accept that your internal world creates your external reality. If you do not cultivate a mindset of discipline, resilience, and strategic thinking, no amount of money will ever be enough to keep you from falling back into the cycle. You have to become a different person to achieve a different result. This transformation is painful because it requires the death of your old self. It requires you to let go of the excuses that have comforted you for years. But on the other side of that pain is the freedom you have been seeking. The wealth mindset is not about being greedy. It is about being effective. It is about maximizing your potential so that you can create a life of choice rather than a life of necessity. Most people are driven by fear. They are afraid of failing, afraid of looking stupid, and afraid of being uncomfortable. The wealth mindset uses fear as a compass. It understands that the greatest opportunities are often hidden behind the things you are most afraid to do. While most people are running away from discomfort, the exceptional are running toward it, knowing that growth only happens at the edge of your current abilities. Start today by challenging every limiting belief you hold about money and success. Recognize that the 99% are wrong about almost everything when it comes to building a life of abundance. If you follow the path of most people, you will end up with the results of most people. To break the cycle, you must dare to think differently, act differently, and be different. This is the foundation upon which all other chapters are built. Without this shift in mindset, the strategies that follow will be useless. But with it, you become an unstoppable force of nature, capable of reshaping your world to match your highest aspirations. Chapter 2: The Trap of Immediate Gratification. The most powerful weapon used against the poor is their own desire for comfort in the present moment. Most people are slaves to immediate gratification. They have been conditioned by a consumer culture to believe that they deserve to feel good right now, regardless of the long-term cost. This is the trap that keeps the cycle of poverty spinning. Every time you choose a small pleasure today over a significant gain tomorrow, you are voting for your own continued stagnation. The 99% live for the weekend, for the next meal, for the next purchase, and for the next dopamine hit from social media. They are constantly trading their future freedom for temporary satisfaction. To break the cycle, you must develop the rare discipline of delayed gratification. This is the ability to resist the impulse for an immediate reward in the hope of obtaining a more valuable reward in the future. It is the hallmark of the successful. Studies have consistently shown that the single greatest predictor of long-term success is the ability to delay gratification. Yet, most people find this impossible because they are living in a state of perpetual emotional reactivity. They feel a bit of stress, so they spend money they do not have on something they do not need to feel a fleeting sense of control. They feel bored, so they waste hours on mindless entertainment instead of building a skill. They feel a lack of status, so they buy expensive clothes or cars on credit to project an image of wealth that does not exist. This is the high cost of the now. When you live for the now, you are effectively stealing from your future self. You are taking the resources that could have been invested in your growth and burning them for a moment of warmth. The cycle of poverty thrives on this behavior. It relies on your inability to say no to yourself. Most people have never learned how to be uncomfortable. They view discomfort as a sign that something is wrong, when in reality, discomfort is the price of admission for greatness. If you want to break the cycle, you must become a master of your impulses. You must learn to look at a temptation and see it for what it truly is, a weight tied to your ankles. Every dollar you spend on a luxury you cannot afford is a brick in the wall of your financial prison. Every hour you spend on low-value activities is time you will never get back. Time that could have been spent architecting a life of true freedom. The wealthy understand that life is a series of trade-offs. They are willing to live like no one else will for a few years, so they can live like no one else can for the rest of their lives. Most people are unwilling to make that trade. They want the result without the process. They want the wealth without the sacrifice. They want the freedom without the discipline. This is a fundamental misunderstanding of how reality works. You cannot cheat the laws of cause and effect. If you sow seeds of immediate gratification, you will reap a harvest of long-term struggle. To break the cycle, you must start making deposits into your future. This means saying no to the impulse to impress people you do not even like. It means saying no to the easy path and the comfortable choice. It means embracing the grind when no one is watching and there is no immediate reward in sight. Most people need constant external validation and quick wins to keep going. They are like a car that runs out of gas every 5 miles. You must become a vehicle that is powered by an internal vision. You must be able to work for months or even years without seeing a major breakthrough, fueled only by the knowledge that you are doing the right things consistently. This is what it means to be exceptional. The trap of immediate gratification is also mental. It is the desire for quick answers and easy solutions. Most people want a 3-step formula to wealth that requires no effort. They fall for get-rich-quick schemes and lottery mentalities because they are looking for an escape rather than a transformation. But there is no escape that does not involve transformation. The only way out of the cycle is through it. You must develop the patience of a farmer. A farmer does not plant a seed and then dig it up the next day to see if it is growing. He knows that growth happens underground in the dark and it takes time. He provides the right conditions, he does the work, and he waits. Most people are too impatient to be successful. They want the harvest while the seed is still germinating. When they do not see immediate results, they quit and try something else, ensuring that they never achieve mastery in anything. To break the cycle, you must commit to the long game. You must look at your life in decades, not in days. This shift in perspective will change every decision you make. You will stop worrying about the trivialities that consume most people and start focusing on the core drivers of your success. You will stop spending and start investing. You must realize that every action you take is a vote for the person you want to become. Are you voting for the version of you that stays trapped in the cycle, or are you voting for the version of you that is free? Immediate gratification is the vote of the slave. Delayed gratification is the vote of the master. The world is designed to tempt you at every turn. Marketing, social media, and peer pressure are all geared toward making you spend your energy and money right now. You must build a fortress around your goals. You must be willing to be misunderstood and judged by the 99% who do not understand why you are not joining them in their pursuit of temporary pleasures. They will call you boring, they will call you obsessed, and they will call you lucky when you finally succeed. But you will know that your success was bought with the thousands of times you said no to the present to ensure a yes for your future. The trap is always there, waiting for a moment of weakness. To stay out of it, you need a vision that is more compelling than the temptation in front of you. You need to know exactly why you are sacrificing. If your why is not strong enough, you will fold. But if you are driven by a deep desire for freedom and excellence, you will find the strength to delay gratification until it becomes your new default setting. This is how the cycle is broken. It is broken one disciplined choice at a time. It is broken in the moments when you choose work over play, saving over spending, and learning over distraction. Do not be fooled by the ease of the current moment. The easy path always leads to a hard life, while the hard path leads to an easy life. Choose your hard wisely. Chapter 3: Redefining your relationship with time. Time is the only truly finite resource you possess, and how you use it is the ultimate differentiator between those who stay poor and those who build wealth. Most people view time as something to be killed or spent. They look for ways to make the time go by faster so they can get to the next moment of leisure. This is a catastrophic waste of the most valuable asset in existence. The 99% sell their time for as little as possible and then waste the remainder on activities that provide zero return. They are in a constant state of time poverty because they do not respect the value of a single hour. To break the cycle, you must stop spending time and start investing it. An investment is something that yields a return. When you spend time watching television, the return is zero. When you invest time learning a high-value skill, the return can be exponential for the rest of your life. Most people do not understand the math of time. They think that an hour is just 60 minutes, but an hour used correctly can be the catalyst for a total life transformation. The wealthy protect their time with a ferocity that most people reserve for their money. They understand that they can always make more money, but they can never make more time. This is why they delegate, why they say no to most requests, and why they focus on high-leverage activities. Leverage is the key to escaping the cycle. Most people have zero leverage. They are in a one-to-one relationship with their time. 1 hour of work equals 1 hour of pay. This is the definition of a trap. If you stop working, the money stops coming. To break the cycle, you must find ways to disconnect your income from your time. You must build systems, products, or investments that work while you sleep. But building those systems requires an initial investment of time that most people are unwilling to make. They claim they do not have time, yet they spend 4 hours a day on entertainment. The truth is that you have the same 24 hours as the most successful people on the planet. The difference is not in the amount of time you have, but in the choices you make with it. Most people are busy, but they are not productive. Being busy is often a form of laziness, lazy thinking, and indiscriminate action. It is doing things that do not matter to avoid the hard work of doing what does. You must audit your time with brutal honesty. Where is it going? Who is stealing it? What habits are draining it? The 99% allow their time to be dictated by the agendas of others. They respond to every notification. They attend every meaningless meeting, and they allow distractions to fragment their focus. To be exceptional, you must reclaim your time. You must become the master of your schedule. This means creating blocks of uninterrupted time for deep work. It means eliminating the trivial many to focus on the vital few. The concept of the 80-20 rule applies perfectly to time. 20% of your activities will produce 80% of your results. Most people spend 80% of their time on activities that produce only 20% of their results. They are majored in minor things. To break the cycle, you must flip this equation. You must identify the high-leverage activities that move the needle in your life and dedicate the majority of your energy to them. This requires saying no to a lot of good things so you can say yes to the great things. Most people are afraid to say no because they want to be liked. But the price of being liked by everyone is the loss of your own potential. The cycle of poverty is also a cycle of reactive living. Most people start their day by reacting to their phone, their emails, or the demands of their family. They are playing defense from the moment they wake up. The wealthy play offense. They have a routine that sets them up for success before the world even starts making demands. They use their peak energy hours for their most important work. They understand that their willpower is a finite resource that depletes throughout the day, so they do the hardest things first. If you want to break the cycle, you must master your mornings and your evenings. These are the bookends of your day, and they are the only times you have total control over. Use them to invest in your mind, your body, and your vision. Most people use them to scroll through social media and complain about being tired. Another critical aspect of redefining your relationship with time is the concept of compounding. Most people only look at the immediate result of an hour spent. They do not see how the skills and knowledge gained in that hour will compound over years. Knowledge is like interest. It builds on itself. The more you know, the faster you can learn new things. The more skills you have, the more opportunities you can capitalize on. If you invest 1 hour every day into a specific field, in 5 years you will be in the top 1% of that field. Most people will not do this because they cannot see the immediate payoff. They are blinded by the short term. They want to be experts today without putting in the hours. But mastery has no shortcuts. It is the result of thousands of hours of deliberate practice. The cycle of poverty is broken by the person who is willing to be an amateur for as long as it takes to become a master. You must stop valuing your time based on what someone else is willing to pay you for it. Start valuing it based on its potential to create your future. If you value your time at $20 an hour, you will act like a $20 an hour person. If you value your time at $1,000 an hour, you will stop doing chores that you could pay someone else to do. You will stop engaging in low-value arguments. You will stop allowing yourself to be distracted by the noise of the world. This is not about being arrogant. It is about being efficient. Your life is the sum of your days, and your days are the sum of your hours. If you waste your hours, you are wasting your life. Most people are waiting for a big break, but the big break is actually the cumulative effect of thousands of small, disciplined decisions about how to spend your time. The 99% are waiting for the clock to run out. The exceptional are racing against it to build something that lasts. Every second is an opportunity to move closer to your goals or further away from them. There is no neutral ground. Either you are using your time or your time is using you. Reclaim your asset. Stop selling it for pennies. Start investing it for freedom. The cycle ends when you realize that your time is too precious to be spent on anything that does not serve your ultimate purpose. Chapter 4: The High Cost of Looking Rich. One of the most insidious reasons why poor people stay poor is the desperate need to look like they are not. We live in a society that equates outward appearance with inner success. Most people are more concerned with the perception of wealth than the reality of it. They spend money they do not have to buy things they do not need to impress people who do not care. This is the high cost of looking rich, and it is a trap that drains the lifeblood out of your financial future. The 99% are caught in a cycle of performative consumption. They buy the latest smartphone on a payment plan. They lease cars that take up half their monthly income. And they wear designer labels that signify status but offer no utility. They are trading their long-term security for a moment of social validation. To break the cycle, you must kill your ego. You must become comfortable with being the poorest-looking person in the room while being the one with the most assets. True wealth is silent. It is the money you do not spend. It is the freedom to say no. Most people, however, use money as a tool to mask their insecurities. They think that if they look the part, they will eventually become the part. But the math does not work that way. Wealth is built through the gap between what you earn and what you spend. When you increase your spending to match your earning, you are running on a treadmill that is going nowhere. You are just a higher-paid slave. The wealthy understand the difference between an asset and a liability. An asset puts money in your pocket. A liability takes money out of your pocket. Most people fill their lives with liabilities that they mistake for assets. They think their primary residence is an asset, but it costs them money every month. They think their car is an asset, but it loses value the moment they drive it off the lot. To break the cycle, You must stop collecting liabilities and start collecting assets. This requires a level of discipline that most people find repulsive. It means living below your means when everyone else is upgrading. It means driving the older car and staying in the smaller house so you can invest the difference. Most people are afraid of the judgment of their peers. They are afraid that if they do not keep up with the Joneses, people will think they are failing. But the Joneses are usually broke, living paycheck to paycheck and drowning in debt. Why would you want to keep up with people who are heading toward a financial cliff? To be exceptional, you must be willing to be misunderstood. You must value your bank balance more than the opinion of your neighbor. The cost of looking rich is not just financial, it is psychological. When you are constantly trying to maintain an image, you are in a state of perpetual anxiety. You are one missed paycheck away from disaster, yet you continue to project an aura of success. This cognitive dissonance creates a level of stress that kills creativity and prevents strategic thinking. You cannot plan for the future when you are terrified of the present. The 99% are trapped in this state of survival, even if they are earning a decent salary. They are what is known as the working rich, people who have high incomes but zero net worth. They are just as vulnerable as someone earning minimum wage because they have no margin for error. Breaking the cycle requires you to embrace the concept of stealth wealth. It is the practice of living a life that is significantly more modest than your income would allow. This gives you the ultimate power, the power of options. When you do not have to work to maintain a lifestyle, you can choose to work on things that matter. You can take risks that others cannot. You can invest when others are selling. Most people view money as a way to buy things. The wealthy view money as a way to buy freedom. When you buy a thing, you are stuck with it. When you buy freedom, you are given your life back. Think about the last major purchase you made. How many hours of your life did you have to trade for it? Was it worth it? Most people never ask themselves this question. They just see something they want and use credit to get it. Credit is the ultimate tool of the poverty cycle. It allows you to consume your future earnings today, ensuring that you will have to work even harder tomorrow just to stay even. It is a form of modern-day indentured servitude. To break the cycle, you must become a hater of debt. You must see it as a parasite that is feeding on your potential. The only acceptable debt is debt that is used to acquire an asset that pays for the debt and provides a profit. Any other kind of debt is a trap. Most people are drowning in consumer debt because they have no self-control. They want it now, and they are willing to pay 3 times the price in interest just to avoid waiting. This impatience is a direct byproduct of the poverty mindset. If you want to be wealthy, you must learn to wait. You must learn to earn the right to luxury. Most people want the reward before the work. They want the finish line without the race. But the only way to sustain a high-level lifestyle is to first build a foundation of assets that can support it. If your assets pay for your luxuries, you are wealthy. If your labor pays for your luxuries, you are still poor, regardless of your income. The 99% will always choose the appearance of wealth over the reality of it because the appearance is easy and the reality is hard. It is easy to sign a loan for a luxury car. It is hard to build a business that generates enough profit to buy that car in cash 10 times over. You must choose the hard path. You must be willing to look like you are losing while you are actually winning. This is the secret of the 1%. They do not care about the flashing lights. They care about the balance sheet. They do not care about the labels. They care about the leverage. To break the cycle, you must shift your focus from what people think of you to what you think of your own progress. Stop buying things to impress people who are not even paying attention. Start buying your time back. Start buying your freedom. The high cost of looking rich is a price you can no longer afford to pay. If you continue down the path of performative consumption, you will remain a prisoner of the cycle forever. But if you choose to live simply and invest aggressively, you will eventually reach a point where you do not have to look rich, because you will be wealthy beyond measure. And that is a state of being that no designer label can ever provide. Chapter 5. Escaping the Echo Chamber of Mediocrity. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. This is a common saying, but most people fail to grasp its terrifying implications. If your circle is comprised of people who are stuck in the poverty cycle, who complain about the economy, who spend their weekends in a haze of distraction, and who have no ambition beyond their next paycheck, then you are almost guaranteed to stay exactly where you are. The 99% live in an echo chamber of mediocrity. They surround themselves with people who validate their excuses and mirror their limitations. To break the cycle, you must perform a ruthless audit of your social circle and be prepared to walk away from anyone who is holding you back. This is the tough love part of transformation. Most people are terrified of being alone, so they cling to friendships that are toxic or stagnant. They stay in environments that are culturally designed to keep them small. If you want to fly with eagles, you cannot keep swimming with ducks. The energy of the people around you is contagious. If you are surrounded by people who view the world as a rigged game, you will eventually start to believe them. If you are surrounded by people who think that working on yourself is a waste of time, you will stop trying. The cycle of poverty is not just financial, it is social. It is a set of shared behaviors and norms that reinforce the status quo. In most social circles of the 99%, there is a subtle but powerful pressure to remain average. When someone tries to improve themselves by starting a business, going back to school, or changing their habits, the group often reacts with skepticism, mockery, or passive-aggressiveness. This is known as the crab in a bucket mentality. When one crab tries to climb out of the bucket, the others pull it back down so that they can all die together. Most people would rather see you fail than see you succeed and make them feel bad about their own lack of progress. To break the cycle, you must be willing to outgrow people. You must be willing to be the person who leaves the bucket. This requires a level of emotional courage that most people do not possess. They are more worried about being called stuck up or acting different than they are about achieving their dreams. But you must act different if you want different results. You must seek out individuals who are where you want to be. You need to find mentors, peers, and associates who challenge you, who make you feel uncomfortable with your current level of success, and who hold you to a higher standard. The wealthy do not just network for the sake of it. They curate their relationships with extreme care. They understand that information, opportunity, and mindset flow through social connections. If you want to break the cycle, you must position yourself in rooms where you are the least successful person. This is bruising to the ego, but it is the fastest way to grow. When you are around people who think in millions while you are thinking in thousands, your entire perspective shifts. You realize that your big goals are actually quite small. You see that the obstacles you thought were insurmountable are actually routine problems that others have already solved. Most people prefer to be the big fish in a small pond because it makes them feel superior. But being the big fish in a small pond is a recipe for stagnation. You want to be the small fish in a massive ocean, because the ocean will force you to grow just to survive. Escaping the echo chamber of mediocrity also means being careful about the digital content you consume. In the modern world, your 5 people can include the influencers you follow, the podcasts you listen to, and the news you read. Most people fill their digital space with noise, celebrity gossip, political outrage, and mindless entertainment. This is just another form of the mediocrity echo chamber. It keeps your brain in a state of low-level reactivity and prevents you from focusing on your own path. You must curate your digital environment as strictly as your physical one. Follow the thinkers, the doers, and the achievers. Immerse yourself in the ideas of the exceptional. The cycle of poverty is maintained by a lack of exposure to better ways of living and thinking. If all you see is struggle, struggle is all you will expect. You must intentionally expose yourself to the possibilities of a larger life. This is not about envy. It is about inspiration and instruction. You need to see that it is possible to break the cycle so that your brain can start working on the how. Most people spend their lives arguing for their limitations. They will tell you all the reasons why something won't work and why things are unfair. If you spend time with these people, you will eventually join the chorus. But if you spend time with people who argue for their potential, you will find yourself taking actions you never thought possible. You must realize that your time and energy are finite. Every hour you spend with someone who drains you is an hour you could have spent with someone who elevates you. There is no middle ground. Relationships are either an investment or an expense. To break the cycle, you must stop being a philanthropist with your time. Stop giving it away to people who do not respect it and who do not contribute to your growth. This might mean spending more time alone for a while as you transition to a new social tier. That is okay. Solitude is better than bad company. In the silence of your own company, you can finally hear your own voice and build your own vision. As you grow, you will naturally attract new people who are on the same frequency. The exceptional are always looking for other exceptional people. They value discipline, integrity, and results. When you start embodying these qualities, you will find that the right doors begin to open and the right people begin to appear. But you must be willing to close the old doors first. You cannot hold on to the past while reaching for the future. The cycle of mediocrity is a powerful force, but it is not unbreakable. It is held together by the fear of being different and the desire for social comfort. Once you decide that your freedom is more important than your comfort, the echo chamber loses its power over you. You start to see the limitations of those around you not as truths, but as choices. And you realize that you have the power to choose differently. Surround yourself with those who have the life you want, and you will eventually find yourself living it. Surround yourself with those who have the problems you want to escape, and you will remain a prisoner of the cycle forever. The choice is yours, and it is a choice you make every single day with every person you allow into your life. Chapter 6: The Skill Gap and the Death of Curiosity. In the modern economy, the divide between the poor and the wealthy is increasingly defined by the skill gap. Most people stay poor because they stopped learning the moment they left the formal education system. They believe that their education is something that happened to them in the past, rather than a lifelong pursuit that determines their future value. This is the death of curiosity, and it is a terminal condition for anyone seeking to break the cycle of poverty. The 99% view work as something they are forced to do in exchange for a paycheck, while the exceptional view work as a platform to develop and deploy high-value skills. If you are earning a low wage, it is because you possess low-value skills that are easily replaceable. The market does not pay you for your time. It pays you for the value you bring to that time. To break the cycle, you must become obsessed with increasing your value. This requires a radical commitment to self-education. Most people spend their evenings being entertained, while the successful spend their evenings being educated. They understand that the world is changing at an unprecedented pace, and if they are not constantly upgrading their skills, they are becoming obsolete. The poverty cycle is fueled by a lack of specialized knowledge. Most people have a general education that makes them a jack of all trades and a master of none. They are commodities in the labor market, and commodities are always priced at the lowest possible level. To escape, you must specialize. You must find a high-leverage skill, whether it is sales, coding, management, financial analysis, or creative production, and you must master it. You must become so good that the market cannot ignore you. This mastery is not a matter of talent. It is a matter of deliberate practice and insatiable curiosity. Most people lose their curiosity because they are overwhelmed by the demands of survival. They are so busy trying to pay their bills that they don't have the mental energy to learn something new. This is a catch-22 that keeps the cycle spinning. You must find the energy. You must sacrifice sleep, leisure, or comfort to carve out time for your development. The internet has democratized knowledge. You have the sum total of human information at your fingertips. You can learn from the best minds in the world for free or for the price of a book. There is no longer any excuse for ignorance. The only thing standing between you and a high-value skill set is your own lack of discipline. Most people want the prestige of being an expert without the perspiration of being a student. They want to be paid like a professional while having the habits of an amateur. This is a delusion. The skill gap is real, and it is widening. Those who understand how to learn and adapt will thrive, while those who wait to be told what to do will be left behind. To break the cycle, you must develop a learning how to learn mindset. You must become a polymath, someone who can synthesize information from different fields to solve complex problems. Most people think in silos. They know their one job and nothing else. But the most valuable people are those who can connect the dots that others don't even see. This requires you to be curious about everything. Read books that have nothing to do with your job. Study psychology, economics, history, and science. The more diverse your mental models, the better your decision-making will be. And life is ultimately a series of decisions. If you make better decisions, you get better results. The cycle of poverty is a result of poor decision-making based on limited information. By expanding your knowledge, you expand your possibilities. You start to see opportunities where you once saw obstacles. You start to understand the mechanics of wealth, the psychology of influence, and the systems of production. This knowledge is power, but only if it is applied. Most people are info junkies who consume content but never implement it. They think that knowing is the same as doing. It is not. Knowledge without action is just a form of mental masturbation. To break the cycle, you must apply what you learn immediately. If you read a book on sales, go out and try to sell something the next day. If you learn a new coding language, build a project. The feedback loop between learning and doing is where true skill is built. Most people are afraid of this feedback loop because it involves failure. They would rather stay in the safe world of theory than face the messy world of practice. But the world only rewards practice. You must be willing to be bad at something for a long time before you are good at it. This is the price of mastery. The death of curiosity is also the death of hope. When you stop learning, you stop growing, and when you stop growing, you start dying. The poverty cycle is a slow death of the spirit. It is the belief that things will never change and that you have seen all there is to see. But the world is infinitely complex and full of potential. There are thousands of ways to create value and build wealth that you haven't even considered yet. To break the cycle, you must rediscover the wonder of a child. You must ask why and how until you understand the underlying principles of reality. The exceptional are always asking questions. They are never satisfied with the surface-level explanation. They want to know how the machine works so they can build a better one. Most people are content to be the ghost in the machine, going through the motions without ever understanding the system they are a part of. To be free, you must become the architect of the machine. This requires you to bridge the skill gap through relentless, focused effort. Stop complaining about your salary and start increasing your value. Stop waiting for someone to train you and start training yourself. The resources are all around you. The only thing missing is your commitment. The cycle ends when you decide that you will no longer be a victim of your own ignorance. It ends when you realize that your mind is your most powerful asset and that its development is your highest priority. Curiosity is the spark that ignites the fire of transformation. Do not let it die. Feed it every day with new ideas, new challenges, and new skills. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is a gap of knowledge and ability. Close it, and the cycle will shatter. Chapter 7. Taking Radical Ownership of Your Results. One of the most defining characteristics of the 99% is the tendency to blame external factors for their internal failures. They blame the economy, the government, their parents, their boss, or their bad luck. This habit of externalizing responsibility is the primary reason the poverty cycle remains unbroken. When you blame something outside of yourself, you are essentially stating that you have no power to change your situation. You are giving away your agency and casting yourself as a victim in your own life. To break the cycle, you must take radical ownership of every single result in your life, whether you think it is your fault or not. This is one of the hardest principles to swallow, but it is also the most liberating. Radical ownership means accepting that you are where you are because of the choices you have made and the actions you have taken. Even if you were dealt a bad hand, it is your responsibility to play that hand to the best of your ability. Most people spend their lives complaining about the cards they were dealt, while the exceptional are focused on how to win the game with the cards they have. The moment you take total responsibility for your life is the moment you gain the power to change it. If your bank account is empty, it is your responsibility. If your health is failing, it is your responsibility. If your relationships are toxic, it is your responsibility. This is not about self-blame or guilt. It is about recognizing your own power. If you are the cause of your problems, you are also the solution. The poverty mindset loves to find excuses. It is a defense mechanism for the ego. If you can point to something else as the cause of your failure, you don't have to face the uncomfortable truth that you need to change. But change is exactly what is required. Most people would rather be right about why they are failing than be successful. They would rather prove that the system is rigged than do the hard work of finding a way to win despite the system. To break the cycle, you must stop being a victim and start being a victor. This requires a fundamental shift in your internal dialogue. Stop saying, "I can't," and start saying, "I won't," or "I haven't yet." When you say, "I can't," you are closing the door on possibility. When you say, "I haven't yet," you are acknowledging that the result is within your control, but you haven't put in the necessary work or found the right strategy yet. The 99% are addicted to the "if only" game. If only I had more money, I could start a business. If only I had more time, I could get in shape. If only I had a better boss, I would be more productive. This is a loser's game. The exceptional don't wait for perfect conditions. They create them. They take what they have and make something out of it. They understand that there will always be obstacles and that the path to success is never a straight line. Radical ownership also applies to your mistakes. Most people try to hide their mistakes or shift the blame when things go wrong. This is a missed opportunity for growth. A mistake is just a data point. It is the world telling you that your current strategy is not working. If you own the mistake, You can learn from it and adjust your course. If you blame someone else, you learn nothing and you are doomed to repeat the mistake. To break the cycle, you must become an expert at self-correction. You must be brutally honest with yourself about your weaknesses and your failures. This requires a high level of self-awareness and a low level of ego. Most people have the opposite, low self-awareness and high ego. They are blind to their own faults and hypersensitive to any form of criticism. You must reverse this. Seek out feedback, even if it hurts. Look in the mirror and ask yourself, what am I doing today that is keeping me poor? And then have the courage to stop doing it. The cycle of poverty is also a cycle of passivity. Most people wait for things to happen to them. They wait for the right opportunity to come along, for someone to discover them, or for the world to become fair. But the world is not fair, and it is not looking for you. You must go out and make things happen. You must be the one who initiates, who follows up, and who pushes through the resistance. This is what it means to take ownership of your results. You are not a passenger. You are the pilot. The pilot doesn't blame the storm for a rough landing. The pilot navigates the storm to ensure the plane lands safely. Your life is the plane, and you are currently in a storm. You can either sit in the cockpit and pray for it to end, or you can take the controls and fly your way out of it. Taking radical ownership also means taking responsibility for your environment. If you live in a place that is draining your energy, move. If you are surrounded by people who are dragging you down, find new people. If your habits are sabotaging your success, change them. Most people act as if their environment is a fixed reality that they must endure. It is not. You have the power to curate your life. This is the ultimate form of ownership. You are the architect of your existence. Every detail of your daily life is a reflection of what you are willing to tolerate. If you tolerate mediocrity, you will have a mediocre life. If you demand excellence of yourself, you will eventually achieve it. The cycle of poverty is maintained by the collective tolerance of just enough. Just enough money to pay the bills, just enough effort to not get fired, just enough hope to keep from quitting. To break the cycle, you must stop tolerating just enough. You must decide that you deserve more and that you are the only one who can get it for you. This is a lonely path at first. Most people will not understand why you are working so hard or why you are so focused. They will try to pull you back into the comfort of shared struggle. You must resist. Your life is too important to be sacrificed on the altar of other people's expectations. Take ownership of your vision, your time, and your effort. When you do, the world will start to respond to you differently. Opportunities will begin to appear because you are now someone who is capable of handling them. Wealth will begin to flow toward you because you have developed the character to manage it. The cycle ends when you stop looking for a savior and realize that you are the one you have been waiting for. Everything you need to succeed is already within you, but it will remain dormant as long as you are blaming the world for your lack. Wake up your potential. Take the wheel. Own your results. This is the only way to true and lasting freedom. Chapter 8: Building the Discipline of Financial Literacy. A major reason why poor people stay poor is that they were never taught how money actually works. Most people view money solely as a tool for consumption, something to be earned, and then immediately traded for goods and services. They lack the fundamental discipline of financial literacy, which is the understanding of how to acquire, manage, and multiply wealth. Without this knowledge, you are like a person trying to play a high-stakes game without knowing the rules. You might win a few rounds by luck, but in the long run, the house will always win. To break the cycle, you must become a student of the language of money. This is not about complex math or advanced economics. It is about understanding basic principles that govern financial success. The 99% live in a state of financial illiteracy. They don't know the difference between an asset and a liability. They don't understand the power of compound interest, and they have no idea how taxes and inflation are eroding their purchasing power. They work for money, but they never make money work for them. This is a fundamental error in strategy. The wealthy understand that money is a tool for production, not just consumption. They view every dollar as a worker that can be sent out to bring back more dollars. Their goal is to build an army of these workers so that they no longer have to trade their own time for survival. To break the cycle, you must shift your perspective from being a wage earner to being a wealth builder. This starts with the most basic discipline of all, tracking your money. Most people have no idea where their money goes. It flows out of their pockets in 1,000 small leaks. Subscriptions they don't use, impulse buys, convenience fees, and high-interest debt. You cannot manage what you do not measure. You must audit every cent that comes in and every cent that goes out. This will be a painful exercise because it will show you exactly how much of your future you are wasting on things that don't matter. But this pain is necessary. It is the wake-up call that leads to change. Once you have a clear picture of your finances, you must develop the discipline to live below your means. This is the golden rule of wealth. It doesn't matter how much you earn if you spend it all. Most people think that the solution to their financial problems is a higher income. But a higher income without financial discipline just leads to larger problems and more expensive liabilities. To break the cycle, you must create a gap between your income and your expenses, and you must protect that gap with your life. That gap is your seed money. It is the capital you will use to buy your freedom. The poverty cycle is also a cycle of debt. Most people use debt to buy things that lose value. They use credit cards for clothes, loans for cars, and mortgages for houses they cannot truly afford. This is financial suicide. When you use debt for consumption, you are paying someone else for the privilege of being poor. You are giving away your future labor to a bank in exchange for a temporary dopamine hit. To be exceptional, you must have a visceral hatred for consumer debt. You must pay it off as quickly as possible and never touch it again. The only acceptable use of debt is to leverage it to acquire an asset that generates more income than the cost of the debt. This is how the wealthy use debt to accelerate their growth. But they only do this after they have mastered the discipline of managing their own money. You cannot handle leverage if you cannot handle a simple budget. Another pillar of financial literacy is understanding the power of compounding. Most people are looking for a big score, a lottery win or a stock that goes to the moon overnight. They ignore the slow, steady power of compound interest because it is boring and takes time. But compounding is the eighth wonder of the world. It is the process by which a small amount of money, invested consistently over time, grows into a massive fortune. The key to compounding is time and consistency. The earlier you start, the more powerful it becomes. Most people wait until they have enough money to start investing, not realizing that the act of investing is what creates the enough. You must start now, even if it is only a small amount. The habit is more important than the amount. By investing consistently, you are training your brain to prioritize the future over the present. You are building the muscle of delayed gratification. Financial literacy also involves understanding risk and reward. Most people are either too risk-averse or too risk-prone. They either keep all their money in a savings account where it is eaten by inflation, or they gamble it on speculative opportunities. They don't understand. To break the cycle, you must learn how to take calculated risks. This means doing your due diligence, diversifying your investments, and only putting money into things you truly understand. You must become your own financial advisor. Do not outsource your financial future to someone else who doesn't care about your goals as much as you do. Read books on investing, listen to experts, and learn from your own mistakes. The more you know, the lower your risk will be. The cycle of poverty is maintained by a lack of financial systems. Most people's financial system is to wait for their paycheck and then spend it until it's gone. To break the cycle, you must automate your finances. Set up automatic transfers to your savings and investment accounts so that the money is gone before you have a chance to spend it. Pay yourself first. Most people pay everyone else first: the landlord, the utility company, the grocery store, and then see if there's anything left for themselves. Usually there isn't. By paying yourself first, you are making your future a non-negotiable priority. You are forcing yourself to live on the remainder, which builds the discipline of frugality and resourcefulness. Financial literacy is also about understanding the tax code and legal structures. The 99% pay the highest percentage in taxes because they earn their money as employees. The wealthy use corporations, trusts, and investment vehicles to legally minimize their tax burden and protect their assets. This is not about cheating the system. It is about understanding the rules of the system. If you don't know the rules, you will always be penalized. As your wealth grows, you must invest in the knowledge to protect it. The poverty cycle is a state of constant financial vulnerability. One emergency, one job loss, or one illness can wipe out everything. To break the cycle, you must build a fortress of financial security. This starts with an emergency fund that can cover your expenses for several months. This gives you the peace of mind to make long-term decisions rather than reacting out of fear. From there, you build a diversified portfolio of assets that provide multiple streams of income. When your income comes from various sources, You are no longer dependent on a single employer or a single economy. You have achieved true financial independence. This is the goal, but it all starts with the discipline of financial literacy. It starts with the decision to stop being ignorant about money and start being a master of it. Money is a neutral energy. It can either be a master that enslaves you or a servant that frees you. The choice depends entirely on your willingness to learn and apply the principles of wealth. Break the cycle by becoming the CFO of your own life. Manage your resources with precision, invest with wisdom, and build a legacy of financial freedom that will last for generations. Chapter 9: The Power of Compound Consistency. If there is one secret to breaking the cycle of poverty and achieving massive success, it is not brilliance, it is not luck, and it is not even hard work in isolation. It is the power of compound consistency. Most people fail because they are unable to do the right things for a long enough period of time to see results. They are looking for a quantum leap or a sudden breakthrough, and when it doesn't happen in the first few weeks or months, they quit. They are like a person who tries to push a massive boulder. They give it one big heave, see that it didn't move much, and walk away. The exceptional person knows that if they keep pushing with consistent pressure, the boulder will eventually start to roll, and once it gains momentum, it becomes unstoppable. The 99% are addicted to intensity but allergic to consistency. They will have a burst of motivation where they work 16-hour days for a week, and then they will do nothing for a month. This sporadic effort is worse than useless. It's exhausting and produces zero long-term results. To break the cycle, you must value the boring work of daily, consistent action. Success is not a grand gesture. It is the accumulation of thousands of tiny, seemingly insignificant choices made correctly day after day. It is the decision to read 10 pages of a book every night. It is the decision to save $50 from every paycheck. It is the decision to spend 1 hour every morning on your side project. Individually, these actions don't look like much. You won't see a change in your life tomorrow because of them. But over months and years, they compound into a life that is unrecognizable to the person you are today. This is the law of compounding in action, and it applies to every area of your existence: your finances, your skills, your health, and your mindset. Most people are blind to the power of the long term. They are so focused on the immediate feedback that they cannot stay the course. This is why most people stay in the poverty cycle. They see the initial struggle and the lack of reward, and they conclude that it's not worth it. They don't realize that the reward is backloaded. In the beginning, the effort is high and the reward is low. This is the dip that filters out the average. If you can push through the dip with consistent action, you will eventually reach the point where the effort is low and the reward is astronomical. To break the cycle, you must fall in love with the process rather than the outcome. You must find satisfaction in the fact that you did the work today, regardless of the result. When you focus on consistency, you remove the emotional roller coaster of success and failure. You stop worrying about whether it's working and you just focus on the next rep, the next page, the next dollar. This is how you build an unstoppable momentum. Momentum is the most powerful force in the universe. Once you have it, things that used to be difficult become easy. Opportunities start to find you. You develop a reputation for reliability and excellence. But momentum is hard to build and easy to lose. Every time you skip a day or give in to an impulse, you are killing your momentum. You are starting back at zero. This is why most people never get anywhere. They are constantly starting and stopping. They never get past the initial friction of change. To be exceptional, you must have a never-miss mentality. You must be consistent even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it. The days you don't want to do the work are the days that count the most. Those are the days you are building the character of a champion. The cycle of poverty is also a cycle of inconsistent habits. Most people have habits that are working against them. They have the habit of complaining, the habit of procrastinating, and the habit of spending. These habits are also compounding, but in the wrong direction. They are pulling you deeper into the cycle of lack. To break it, you must replace these destructive habits with constructive ones. This doesn't happen overnight. It takes time to rewire your brain. But if you are consistent, the new habits will eventually become your new default setting. You won't have to use willpower to save money or to learn. It will just be who you are. This is an identity shift. You are no longer a person who is trying to be successful. You are a successful person because you do the things that successful people do every single day. Most people are looking for a magic pill that will solve their problems without them having to change. But the magic pill is consistency. It is the willingness to do the work when it's not fun, when it's not exciting, and when no one is watching. The wealthy understand this. They don't have better brains. They have better systems and more discipline. They know that if they stay consistent, the math of life will eventually work in their favor. They are willing to be patient because they trust the process of compounding. You must develop this same level of trust. Stop looking at the scoreboard and start looking at your daily habits. Are you doing the things today that will make you wealthy in 10 years? If the answer is no, you are still in the cycle. If the answer is yes, then your success is a mathematical certainty. It is only a matter of time. The power of compound consistency is also about the accumulation of marginal gains. This is the idea that if you improve by just 1% in every area of your life every day, you will be 37 times better by the end of a year. Most people try to change everything at once and end up changing nothing. To break the cycle, you should focus on being slightly better today than you were yesterday. Improve your focus by 1%. Improve your savings by 1%. Improve your knowledge by 1%. These tiny improvements add up to a massive transformation. The 99% ignore the 1% improvements because they seem too small to matter. They want the 100% improvement now. But the 100% improvement only comes to those who have mastered the 1% gains. The cycle of poverty is a slow drip of bad decisions. The cycle of wealth is a slow drip of good decisions. You must choose which drip you are going to allow into your life. The beauty of consistency is that it is entirely within your control. You may not be the smartest person, you may not have the most money, and you may not have the best connections, but you can be the most consistent person. You can be the one who never quits. You can be the one who shows up every day, rain or shine. If you do this, you will eventually outlast and outperform everyone who relied on talent or luck. The cycle ends when you stop trying to hack the system and start respecting the laws of growth. Plant the seeds, water them every day, and have the patience to wait for the harvest. This is the path of the exceptional. This is how the world is won. Chapter 10: Designing an Environment for Success. The final and perhaps most overlooked factor in the poverty cycle is the environment in which you live and work. Most people are unaware of how much their physical and digital surroundings influence their behavior, their thoughts, and their results. We like to think that we are autonomous beings driven by our own will, but the reality is that we are highly responsive to our context. If you are trying to break the cycle of poverty while living in an environment that is designed for struggle, you are fighting an uphill battle. To be exceptional, you must take control of your environment and architect it to make success inevitable. The 99% live in environments of chaos and distraction. Their homes are cluttered, their workspaces are disorganized, and their digital lives are a constant barrage of notifications and low-value noise. These environments drain mental energy and foster a state of reactivity. You cannot think strategically or act decisively when your surroundings are screaming for your attention. To break the cycle, you must simplify and optimize. This starts with your physical space. A cluttered environment leads to a cluttered mind. Clear your space of anything that does not serve your purpose or bring you genuine value. This is not just about aesthetics, it is about cognitive load. Every object in your environment is a pull on your attention. By minimizing the number of objects, you maximize your ability to focus. Your workspace should be a temple of productivity. It should be clean, organized, and free from distractions. When you enter that space, your brain should immediately know that it is time to work. This is environmental anchoring. Most people work in the same place they eat, sleep, and watch television. This confuses the brain and makes it difficult to achieve deep work. To break the cycle, you must create dedicated zones for different activities. This creates a psychological boundary that helps you maintain discipline. Your digital environment is even more critical in the modern world. Most people allow their smartphones to be tools of distraction rather than tools of production. They are constantly interrupted by social media, news alerts, and emails. Each interruption takes minutes to recover from, meaning most people never achieve a state of flow. To be exceptional, you must aggressively curate your digital space. Turn off all non-essential notifications. Delete apps that do not contribute to your growth. Use tools to block distracting websites during work hours. You must become the gatekeeper of your own attention. If you don't control your digital environment, someone else will use it to sell you things or influence your thoughts. The cycle of poverty is fueled by this loss of cognitive sovereignty. When you reclaim your focus, you reclaim your life. Your environment also includes the information you consume. Most people eat a diet of intellectual junk food. They consume sensationalized news, mindless entertainment, and the opinions of people who are just as lost as they are. This mental diet shapes your world view and your expectations. To break the cycle, you must go on an information fast. Stop consuming anything that does not educate, inspire, or move you closer to your goals. Replace the noise with the voices of the exceptional. Read the biographies of great men and women. Listen to podcasts that challenge your thinking. Surround yourself with ideas that are bigger than your current reality. Your brain is a supercomputer, but it is only as good as the data you feed it. If you feed it garbage, it will produce garbage results. If you feed it excellence, it will produce an excellent life. Another crucial aspect of your environment is your geographical location. While the internet has made it possible to work from anywhere, the physical place you live still matters. Different cities and neighborhoods have different energies and cultures. Some places are hubs of innovation and ambition, while others are stagnant and rooted in the past. If you are in a place where the collective mindset is one of scarcity and limitation, it will be much harder to maintain your own wealth mindset. You will be constantly fighting against the prevailing vibe of your community. To break the cycle, you may need to move. You need to be in a place where your goals are seen as normal rather than extraordinary. You need to be around people who are doing bigger things than you are. This exposure will naturally pull you up. It is much easier to be successful when everyone around you is successful. This is not about being elitist. It is about being strategic. You are a biological organism that adapts to its surroundings. If you put a plant in a dark corner, it will wither. If you put it in the sun and give it good soil, it will thrive. You are the same. Choose the best soil for your growth. Designing an environment for success also means creating systems that remove the need for willpower. Most people rely on willpower to make good choices, but willpower is a finite resource that runs out. The exceptional use their environment to make the right choice the easy choice. If you want to save money, set up an automatic transfer so you don't have to choose to save every month. If you want to eat healthily, don't keep junk food in the house. If you want to work on your business, have your laptop set up and ready to go before you wake up. By engineering your environment, you are making success the path of least resistance. You are setting yourself up for victory before you even start. The cycle of poverty is a path of high resistance. Everything about it is designed to make it hard to succeed and easy to fail. To break the cycle, you must flip the script. You must build a world around you that supports your highest aspirations. This requires intentionality and a willingness to be radical. You may have to cut ties with certain people, change your daily routines, and move your physical location. These are the hard choices that lead to an easy life. The 99% will not make these choices. They will stay in their comfortable, chaotic environments and complain about their lack of progress. But you are not most people. You understand that you are a product of your environment, so you choose to be the architect of that product. You realize that your surroundings are either a wind at your back or a wall in your face. Tear down the walls. Build the wind. Create a life where success is not just possible, but inevitable. The cycle ends when your environment no longer reflects your past, but your future. Closing the path forward. You have now traveled through the architecture of the poverty cycle and the blueprint for its destruction. We have diagnosed the mindset that keeps you small, the traps of gratification and consumption that drain your potential, and the social and environmental factors that anchor you to mediocrity. But information is only the beginning. You are now at the most dangerous point of this journey. Most people will finish this audiobook and feel a sense of accomplishment. They will feel like they have already changed simply because they have consumed the knowledge of change. This is a lethal delusion. Knowledge without application is the ultimate form of self-sabotage. It gives you the feeling of progress without the reality of it. To break the cycle of poverty, you must now move from the world of ideas into the world of action. The path forward is not easy, and it is not for the faint of heart. It will require you to face the most uncomfortable truths about yourself. It will require you to shed the identity that has kept you safe but stagnant. It will require you to be the villain in the stories of people who want you to stay average. But on the other side of that struggle is a level of freedom and power that most people will never know. True transformation is not a single event. It is a fundamental shift in how you relate to reality. It is an identity-level change. You are no longer someone who is trying to be successful. You are a person of discipline, a person of value, and a person of action. This new identity is forged in the fires of consistency. It is built in the moments when no one is watching and when the reward is nowhere in sight. You must trust the process of compounding. You must believe that every disciplined choice, every hour of learning, and every dollar saved is a brick in the foundation of your future empire. The world does not owe you anything. It is a neutral arena that rewards those who understand its laws and punishes those who ignore them. You have been given the rules of the game. You have been shown how to build the skills, the mindset, and the environment of the exceptional. The only remaining variable is your will. Will you return to the comfort of the 99%? Will you allow the noise of the world and the weight of your past to pull you back into the cycle? Or will you seize the steering wheel of your life and drive toward the horizon of your highest potential? The choice is yours, and you are making it right now. You make it with the next thing you do when this audio stops. Do not go back to mindless scrolling. Do not go back to complaining. Do not go back to the people who keep you small. Take the first step toward your new reality today. Audit your finances. Schedule your deep work. Reach out to a mentor. Start the project you have been putting off. The cycle of poverty is strong, but it is not more powerful than a human being who has taken radical ownership of their life. You have the spark of greatness within you. You have the capacity to create value, to build wealth, and to leave a legacy that will inspire others to break their own cycles. But that spark will die if you do not feed it with action. The time for excuses is over. The time for waiting is finished. Your old life is behind you. Your new life is waiting to be built. Go out and build it. Become the exception. Break the cycle. Claim your freedom. The world is waiting for you to show it what you are truly capable of. Now get to work.